my name is Mari, and I'm an illustration student that also sells art in artist alleys around Canada. As a first video, I wanted to show my art journey from point A in 2019 to point B in 2023. Right now, I've become pretty stagnant, but that's a different can of worms. I am also by no means a professional illustrator, and I don't go in depth about each fundamental in this video. It's more of me outlining the chapters in my art journey and the general steps I took to go from not drawing that often to falling deeply in love with illustrating and wanting to continuously improve. I also felt like this would be fun for me to look back on and see my progress. So whether you've just started drawing or have also been drawing for many years, I hope you either take something away from this or just enjoy watching. Before 2019, I've been drawing casually ever since I was a kid with a pencil and paper. However, it wasn't until I watched Zootopia in 2016 that I got so inspired by Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde fan art that I had to get the cheapest possible Wacom I could find, and I drew on that for the next 9 years. All of the art pieces I'll show are digital art, but the tips that help me improve can be applied to any medium. For a few of my teenage years, I was deep into the K-pop fandom, and I don't know what clicked, but I decided to dedicate a lot of my time drawing lots and lots of K-pop idols. I truly believe that this period of pumping out drawings from pure enjoyment and curiosity solidified the foundation which allowed me to have a lot of fun with all aspects of learning and creating art. I tried different approaches and styles of illustration, which helped me gain a sense of what type of workflow I enjoyed. Furthermore, creating many artworks and trying ambitious pieces helped me recognize a pattern in the mistakes I made and shined a light on specific things I wanted to improve on. This mindset and approach can rapidly increase the rate you learn at, compared to just focusing on a bunch of art studies without a specific objective to motivate you. Having a dream piece to work towards made our studies less painful, and I anticipated getting to apply what I learned into my own projects. I was copying heavily off of a lot of references for fun, but it wasn't until I discovered ATEEZ and decided to get serious with my craft. I would have never thought that getting into KQ which then turned into ATEEZ, would have helped me become the artist I am today. Because the chokehold they had on me was insane. I started drawing them in different perspectives. I started drawing more than one person in a drawing. I even started drawing backgrounds. Like, why is this so tightly rendered? Getting into this group also forced me to draw hot guys because I was just drawing hot and pretty women. I began my self-taught art journey with everyone's favorite, YouTube tutorials. And right off the bat, these were the artists that helped me a lot at the very beginning. Proko, Marco Bucci, Cynics Design, Mark Brunet, Draw with Jazza, and Samdis Arts. They offered many tutorials and they were all free, which was amazing. Another thing that helped me was just watching other artists draw in real time. During the lockdown, I spent a lot of my time hopping on artist streams and watching their own workflow. I got to absorb different tricks and techniques from them, which helped me learn and streamline my own drawing process. I avidly watched TB Choi, Kegs, Ina, 58MW, I'm so sorry, and Reno Tuna. This part is optional, but if you have the budget to, there's many great courses from different artists on different platforms such as Colosso, Patreon, Skillshare, Class 101, and many more. The artists that I bought from were Night Zhang, I think, called also known as Araceli, and Gravity Dusty on Class 101. Having clear goals helped me learn at a decent rate. In Araceli's online class, the first thing we were told to do was list our future skill goals, our current problems, our short-term solutions for them, our long-term goals, and our long-term solutions. With having a clearer motive, it's easier to break down what I needed to learn. My goal at the time in 2021 was heavily character-based with some desire for storytelling, so I focused on anatomy, perspective, and color. I really benefited from taking what I've learned from a tutorial and creating my own art piece to specifically apply that concept I just learned. As I continued in my art journey, I fell deep into the Haikyuu and My Hero Academia rabbit hole, and was enamored with the art styles of both series. I loved how big the eyes could get in Horikoshi's style, and I loved the stylized yet distinct features each character had in Furudate's series. I tried imitating their artworks, but the problem was I still didn't have a strong enough grasp on anatomy. I didn't know how to properly exaggerate features, specifically the eyes, to make it still look like a person. During 2021, I became extremely frustrated with the drawings I made. Things weren't turning out the way I envisioned it, and I wanted to create a more narrative and complex illustration at the time. I've been posting my art online since 2019, and the traction on my art was pretty decent until it started getting less engagement in 2021. I know we're not supposed to focus on social media numbers, but my frustration and dissatisfaction with my art and lack of interactions piled on top of each other. You know that learning curve that measures observation skill with actual skill? Yeah, I was around here in the area of dissatisfaction. In this time period, I remember being unhappy with how my art really didn't pop. Despite my progress with understanding perspective and light, my work still felt stiff, muted, and flat. In addition, my line art was not incredibly confident, the shapes and forms that I created with my lines did not make any sense, and the lines were still thin and shaky. I was trying to mash up everything I've learned and observed, but it still wasn't enough, so I went back to studying. This was actually when I bought the online courses from Gravity Dusty and Aruzeli. Aruzeli is great for anatomy and character design, and I basically utilize Gravity Dusty's approach and workflow to this day. On my own, I did value and composition studies, which helped tremendously with figuring out how to make certain elements of my illustration pop. I emphasize the importance of learning values as a beginner, since they can be used to help your eyes find a certain path to follow in the illustration. It also allows you to control what the viewers look at first. The highest point of contrast is usually where everyone looks first, but if everything has the same level of contrast, then it'll be hard to find the focal point. Here's some great videos that help me understand more about this art fundamental. A warm-up exercise that I still like doing is taking a screenshot of a video, a game, a photo from outside, whatever you want, and breaking that image into just 3 to 4 values. I don't recommend turning the photo into grayscale because you're trying to train your observation, but if you get really frustrated, it's a good start. Value studies made me think more in shapes and forms instead of lines that outline a silhouette. Aside from that, I also did studies from Ray 17 for their coloring and rendering, Sungmu for their line art, and JC Leyendecker for their graphic and semi-realistic rendering style. Sungmu's line art study helped me practice getting more confident lines and utilizing varying line weights to gain interest. Studying his art also helped further my understanding of how interest is created through varying contrasts of values and light weights. JC Leyendecker specifically helped me get a better grasp at creating forms with lines/brushstrokes that map the object's surfaces, and he is also my GOAT. I love that artist so much. Between this Dia comic and this Kafka illustration, I really don't know what clicked in my brain, since these were only roughly 2 months apart. I spent so much time trying to execute everything I've learned into this one drawing, and to this day, I still feel like this was my peak art moment. I have not executed anything to this kind of level, at least I personally think so. And right now, I feel like I've become really comfortable with how my drawings look, which ended up with me plateauing. I can maybe add how my poor mindset with running an art business has caused me to pump things out quickly and not really take my time with my art and improve it. But at the same time, speed is a good skill to learn, so I can't tell if this was a good or bad thing to happen to me this year. Even if I think that Kafka drawing is my peak art moment, I did naturally change preferences in how I wanted my art to look and what art I like to look at. There's definitely more texture in my pieces, and it's less tightly rendered compared to the pieces I did in the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024. Right now, I'm nitpicking specific stuff that I could still work on, such as expression, gesture, and values. Looking back, I think my willingness to fail has helped me tackle the things I found more difficult, like perspective and backgrounds, which I still suck at, but we're getting there. Going back to the manga that inspired me back then, even though I tried to imitate more of Horikoshi's style, Furudate just writes such inspiring characters in Haikyuu, and the story has left such a massive impact on how I approach my own goals. Atsumu is my favorite character, but I am heavily inspired by Hinata and Oikawa. They have inspired me to keep pushing forward and embracing any form of regression since it's a part of progress. On the topic of manga, here's some that I heavily get inspiration from. Literally, it's just anything Fujimoto writes, and I am in love with Witch Hat Atelier. So overall, learning never stops no matter what skill you're trying to master and no matter how advanced you are. I believe that having a curious and learning mindset will be one of the biggest factors in helping your art progress go. Did that make sense? That learning chart will continue to go up and down, so just be gentle on yourself and don't beat yourself up if the art piece looks like trash to you. Hi! Thank you so much for watching until the end of my video. I don't really have much to promote other than my art accounts, which are on the side here. And I have some other stuff planned, but I don't know how long that'll take to, edit. And yeah, if you liked what you saw, please subscribe, think of sharing maybe, leave a like, a comment. It'll help a lot. And thank you so much. Have a good one.